Today, we are picking our horror movie villains, Mount Rushmore. Let's find out who's going to make the cut in the Late Night Movie Podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 50th episode of the Late Night Movie Podcast, your place for movie reviews, hot takes, and quiz shows. I'm your host, Welchy, and joining me tonight is Mr. Pop Figures himself, Andy.
Hello, guys. Yeah, happy to be back. Bear with me. I'm a bit shattered after this weekend, so yeah, I'm running on empty at the moment. But yeah, excited to talk about our horror icons.
And also joining and fitting is our resident horror expert, Stephen.
Yes, hello everybody. I kind of was it a deliberate pun? Who made the cut? Because
It
horror
wasn't.
movie villains.
I said it wasn't deliberate. I did this on the train today, and I almost changed it to who's going to make the slash. Then I thought that just sounds shit. Obviously, like
Yeah,
slasher, you know what I
No,
mean? Like that's what's going.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I can see it, but cut works better.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been full on, so I think we're all absolutely knackered doing this podcast. But I'm very excited to see which characters make our Mount Rushmore. There's going to be some interesting takes, I reckon.
Well, let's get straight into it. As mentioned in the cold open, we are picking our Mount Rushmore of horror movie villains. But before we do that, let's do some quick housekeeping. Of course, this is the Late Night Movie Podcast. We drop 2 episodes a week, typically on a Tuesday and a Thursday. But this week I'm changing it to Wednesday and Friday only because it's Halloween week and I want to release a movie one on Friday for Halloween. If you enjoy the podcast, then please do consider following or subscribing on your favorite podcast service and also leave a rating as that really helps support the podcast a lot. You can follow us on all major socials with the handle at the Late Night Pods. And you can join our Discord using the link in the podcast description if you want to chat movies, TV shows, and video games. If you're listening or watching on Spotify, you can also leave comments on there too. And of course, the podcast is now available on YouTube if that is your platform of choice. Our content schedule for the week beginning the 27th of October looks like this. On Tuesday, you will have our Ghost of Yote full review on the Late Night Gamer podcast that will have spoilers in it. Not the full thing, we will have a spoiler section, so obviously still come and listen even if you haven't beat the game, but there will be a spoiler section. On Wednesday, we have this episode, which is the Mount Rushmore of horror movie villains. Thursday, Andy and I will be talking about how we met Troy Baker and Christopher Judge and many more people. And we'll also be talking about what other games we've been playing recently. And then on Friday, we have a Halloween special episode where we'll be discussing the scariest horror movies of all time. And then in terms of Twitch streams, I will be streaming on Wednesday, Friday and Saturday. And that will be Outer Worlds 2, which releases on Wednesday. Okay, well, let's get into it. Our Mount Rushmore of horror movie villains. As we have done previously on Mount Rushmore episodes, each of us will have a guaranteed pick, meaning whoever we pick will have a place on our collective Mount Rushmore, and none of us really get to have say. I mean, we can argue why we don't agree, but essentially we all get one pick each at least. That will leave us with one space left where we will collectively decide on who deserves the final spot. This week, let's start with Andy. Who do you think deserves to be on the Mount Rushmore of horror movie villains?
Okay, so after discussing sort of our favorite horror games, and I'll talk about The Last of Us. Obviously, I think it's a horror game. I think the TV show is a horror TV show. I think Joel Miller has to. No, I'm joking.
I'm about to say, please tell me that this is a wind up.
This one's tricky because there's a couple, and I think I had an idea of who Stephen was going to go for, one or two. And I don't know, I feel like they're similar choices to mine. So it's like, which one do I prefer? But I guess they'll both get in anyway. But then Stephen obviously watches a lot more movies, like horror movies, than me. Actually, my first choice was, and I don't know if you guys will accept it just because it's not a physical character. So the first thing I was going to say is, because it's the thing that I find the scariest and most terrifying, is the sort of smile entity.
So,
But because it's not, a character. It's like, how do I word that or choose that?
No word of a lie. On my list, I have put the smile
Okay,
because
yeah,
I think the smile is iconic. I agree that the smile isn't a horror villain, and I guess you could argue spoilers for anyone hasn't seen these films, but there's like a being at the end of Smile on 1 and 2, which is
yeah.
effectively what is
It,
causing the smile curse,
yeah,
whatever it is, which you could argue is the villain here. But I also wrote it down. I was going to bring it up, so it's interesting that you brought it up.
yeah. So if that's accepted, then like just going off what I find more scary, like when Smile 3 comes out, like it's probably the film I'm looking most forward to in terms of horror films.
Yeah,
Excited to see which direction they're going, whether we do see more of the physical being or whatever it is. Um, so potentially that's what I would have chose. But if we're going to go for something that is you can put a face to it sort of
yeah,
thing, then I think I'd have to go for Ghostface, just because it's like only recently have I started watching horror films, but Ghostface was the one that I did watch when I was younger. I watched all of them. Um, Even though they did scare me afterwards, I don't find them scary now. But watching them back when however old I was, it was probably the only one series of horror films I actually watched from a young age. So, and it's iconic. The face, the mask, the films are great. I enjoy all of them. I'm looking forward to the new one coming out next year. Um, I've got the mask itself, which I was actually meant to put on at the start of this video, but I forgot with us being busy this weekend. But yeah, I think I'm going to go for Ghostface as my number one pick. But potentially, depending on what happens with Smile, I may change that in the future. But yeah, going off most what's iconic, what I enjoy, what I've grew up with, it's Ghostface. The other close choice was obviously, actually, I won't say just in case Stephen or you choose it, but
yeah.
yeah, I'll say what my other
I,
choice was afterwards.
I also had I put it down to the small entity
Mm.
in my idea, so I would agree that that can be on the list because there is an actual figure at the end of both films, spoiler, but there
Yeah,
is, and
but
also
based
what they
on
actually do with the smile and stuff. So I think it could be acceptable, but if you're talking about what is the more like iconic one from Mount Rushmore, it probably would be Ghostface. But it would be a good argument if that is one to add in as a collective
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it is
my
terrifying.
I've sort of my own argument against, and again could be spoilers, but my own argument against the Smile entity is that I don't believe the thing that we're seeing is actually the thing that is causing the smile, like the curse.
Yeah.
I feel like that's also fake, and there's something else behind that. So that's like I feel like that will be revealed in the next film. So that's sort of another reason why I didn't want to choose that. But in terms of seeing where number 3 goes, and the fact that that does really scare me, that I do want to eventually choose something like that in a future episode, maybe. But yeah, for now, with Ghostface being iconic,
Yeah.
I grew up with it. It's everywhere. Everyone knows who Ghostface is. There'll still be people that haven't seen Smile. I feel like most people, even if they're not horror fans, know who Ghostface is and have at least seen the first Scream film. Not you, Welchy.
the
It's a great pick.
yeah, yeah. I'm not doubting that one, but going back to Smile, I think because it's Mount Rushmore, and we're talking the four
Yeah,
best or most
before.
iconic, whatever,
Yeah,
however you want to pick. Um, you wouldn't put the end being or the entity up there. You just wouldn't. You would put the smile there itself. And I think, funnily,
yeah,
even
yeah.
though it's just a smile, that smile
It's
is so
creepy as fuck, man.
specific that as soon as you see
Yeah,
that smile, you know what it's
But
from.
then if it's just a smile, then though that's not a horror villain.
No,
That's
because it
kind of
can be on
what the
anyone.
villain is communicating through and
Yeah,
possessing people. If we had to pick maybe like a Mount Rushmore of like horror movie moments, then the smile definitely goes
yeah,
onto that sort of list of like what is the scariest thing in a horror movie that has creeped you out. If you could put on Mount Rushmore, then I think smile goes in as a no-brainer. But in terms of a character, if we're not including the and I agree with what Andy's saying, we don't know what they're going to do with the entity in Smile 3, and I think we're going to get a bit more backstory into sort of the logistics behind it because also there's an argument is actually the entity real in terms of the semen and sort of semen that sounds really bad in terms of what we see particularly at the end of Smile 2. You kind of sit there and you think what's real and what isn't.
mm,
So I get that. I would argue that with myself. So But I think Ghostface is a top shout.
I do want to apologize to video listeners. I'm trying to do something really cool here. Stephen and Andy can't actually see it. I've got a picture of Mount Rushmore and I'm adding the characters in as we pick them.
Oh, okay,
But
that's
for
cool.
some reason, the way I'm doing it, every time I actually work on it, our webcams go down. So I'm doing it as
Okay.
quick as I can so our faces come back up. So just bear with me, video listeners, because I can't work out why that's happening. Stephen,
Mhm.
I kind of thought there was between two for you, and now one of them's been
Yeah, I
taken.
feel like I know what it
So
is.
I think I know what your choice is, but go ahead and tell us.
It's going to be the Candy. No, for
It
me
could have
as I
Candyman would have been a good choice. If you said Candyman, I would not be disappointed with that.
it would be, but not onto the level about the person I'm about to
Yeah.
name, because I've actually normally, just for like people behind the scenes, I do loads of notes when we go into these topics. This week I haven't had to do a single note because I knew I had two very much in mind. I'm happy that one is on there because my other one's now going to go on there, and it has to be Art the Clown from the
Yeah.
Terrifier franchise. What I actually was thinking, because I actually thought we could have two guaranteed to the table. Don't ask me why I thought that. So when Welchy said one, I was thinking, shit, because if Andy doesn't pick Ghostface, Welchy doesn't pick Ghostface. And I was banking on Andy because Welchy really hasn't seen the Scream movies. Although you're fully aware about what Ghostface is, I didn't think it would be one that you would have as your banker.
Yeah.
Where Andy, I was like, I feel like Andy may go down that route. And in fact, I thought both of us probably had the same two in mind. But
Yeah.
out of the two in terms of horror villains, I do think Art's the more brutal one out of him and Ghostface. I would argue that, particularly like in Scream 7, it was the most brutal reiteration of a Ghostface that I've ever seen. They really like ranked up the intensity levels of how brutal and violent Ghostface was in terms of the way that he was killing people. But Art is like in a different league. I think Art the Clown is the most sadistic horror villain I've ever seen in any horror movie. Like more sadistic than Freddy, Jason, Ghostface. Like he, in terms of just what he does to his victims, that in myself, I was thinking, well, that would be why I'd put him on a Mount Rushmore. Because if you get fucked up by Art, like you are absolutely, I mean, you're screwed by most of these horror movie characters, but Art has that incredible ability that because he's got sort of supernatural abilities, he can keep his victims alive for longer just to get them as tortured as possible. It's insane. Like none of the other horror movie villains, you could argue that like Freddy Krueger because he can interact with people's dreams, but he ain't doing the kind of shit that Art is doing in all three of the Terrifying movies. In every movie, he just gets progressively more worse. He's really sadistic. He also is quite funny because obviously being a silent clown, there's a lot of physical comedy that then goes straight from comedy into sort of just full blown horror. And he is just, I feel like he's just exploded into pop culture. I feel like you see now Art absolutely everywhere, and it could be because of the movies getting more and more popular. But generally, I think Art is in now that bracket of, if someone said to me he's like the best horror movie villain of all time, maybe a couple of years ago I'd be like, no. But now I'm a bit like, it's really hard to pick. Like for me, it's Ghostface and Art, and every different day I kind of work out around which one is my actual all-time favorite. Maybe more Ghostface because of longevity, but Art is pushing that, which I've said before. So it's a no-brainer for me. Art goes on to this Mount Rushmore list, and if it's the case that I've got two of my favorites, then whatever else we debate, I'm happy. Like that's a good Mount Rushmore for me.
I definitely feel like number 3 has blown Art onto a new level because obviously I'd only watched the first two before number 3 came out. Obviously watched them both at the cinema, but before then I didn't see any Art the Clown costumes or anything at MCM. No one dressing up as him, and all of a sudden the third film comes out. It's a lot more modern, a lot more fucked up, brutal, and all of a sudden it's like this massive franchise, and now everyone's hyped for the fourth film. So it has definitely obviously joined that list now, but before number 3 it was like a bit more niche.
Yeah, there were like, I remember being in, I think it was MCM 2022, and there was a couple of arts, but it was few and far between where number 3 came out. And also number 3 had a official cinema release. The first two,
Yeah, that's it.
they only re-released them. So, and also I think, you know, TikTok kind of like Chloe, who absolutely hates horror, said to me that she wants to meet Art because he's really cute. And then when I showed her like 10 seconds of Terrifier 2, she got about 8 seconds in and I showed her the bedroom sequence. I wanted to see how long she'd last literally no more about 9 seconds. The first bit that Art did to to Ali in the bedroom, that was it. She was like, no. But he's kind of like, even people that are not so fair with horror, like they know what Art the Clown is. And again, these legacy characters, and a lot of people like are dressed up. They're doing like Art the Clown parties. Like Art's now gone into like Fortnite, which if you said to me a few years ago, Art would come onto a massive global franchise like Fortnite, I would be like, no chance. A side note to it, I find it hilarious that there's going to be kids playing as Art the Clown, having no idea who this clown is, taking it to like YouTube or Google, and then being scarred for the rest of their days, or parents thinking, oh yeah, it's just a nice little clown. Also, one of the reviews, which I would probably mention this other character, but someone said that like Art makes Pennywise look like Ronald McDonald, and I always find that a really funny quote. Even though I would love to see sort of like, back in the day where they did like the Freddy versus Jason versus, actually getting one which is Art versus Pennywise, and I still think Art would come out absolutely victorious in that fight, just because I think how brutal he is. I can't think of another horror movie villain that is as brutal as Art, and that's why he gets a great list in this Mount Rushmore that we're doing.
I feel like we're about to hear more of Pennywise soon. So.
Yeah, I did have a hunch that's a good segue to Pennywise.
So it's funny you mentioned Pennywise, Stephen. I can't decide who to go next, to be honest, or for my pick. It wouldn't have been either yours too, because I've not seen those films, but I'm stuck between three. My heart tells me I should go for the alien from Alien.
Okay.
I love those films, even though some of them, or the majority of them at this point, aren't very good. But I just love the alien. I'm a sci-fi geek, so sci-fi horror tick. My other part tells me Pennywise, because of how iconic he is and how good the first film at least is of the reboot. And then another part of me is screaming at me, telling me to pick Jigsaw. Specifically the doll on the bike as the image of Jigsaw, but obviously who's actually behind it. And it's really tough. I've got other ones here like on my list, which we can maybe mention for the fourth one, but I feel like whatever one I don't pick here, I'm going to try and make a case for the fourth spot. But obviously I know you two are going to bring a lot too as well. There's
one.
Go on.
Sorry, Welch. I was saying there's one of those characters that you mentioned that I'd have a strong argument to go in either as your third, and I would back up the point of it being the fourth one that we collectively agree on.
That's why I might vote tactically here and go for the one that's not that one. It's really, really shit.
Yeah, I never think of. I mean, again, because this is your pick, I don't want to feel like I'm like trying to influence your decision. But what I would say is, do we want to have a Mount Rushmore when we've got two essentially clowns? Is my only sort of bit, like in terms of like varied.
But
that's my
really hates Pennywise.
My other argument.
He's like, no, put Pennywise on his fucking list.
I love Pennywise. I'm not going to disagree with that. I've got a bloody It hoodie, but in terms of if you say which is the better clown for me, it's Art over Pennywise. But I love Pennywise, and I love the whole notion of him and what those two It movies have done, and the TV series that's coming up.
I will bring up the exact same argument if one of you two try and bring up another slasher, though. So, so it's tough, isn't it? Do you know? Because if you're going to bring Freddy or what's his name, Halloween guy,
Freddy,
Mike Myers,
Michael Myers, Jason,
I could say, well, that's the same as Scream, just without a different mask.
Yeah. So I actually had 4 people like written down as like potential choices for my number, like who I wanted to put in, and the other 2 are Pennywise and Michael Myers as my
And I get,
ones.
I get why you'd have Michael Myers. It's just if we're doing no 2 clowns, it's got to be no.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I am.
Not that we have to do that.
It's so fucking hard because I also had the smile, as I said. I'm gonna go with Jigsaw because I think
good choice. I didn't want you to go with the Alien.
I know you don't want me to.
Yeah,
it's definitely horror, but
it's just like
I would have backed the Alien. I mean, it's an iconic horror villain. particularly
Yeah.
just from the first one alone. The first Alien is a horror movie. It's not a particularly great horror movie now, but
Whoa.
there's
I don't know
well,
about that.
It's
it's
not.
it hasn't stood the test. The more I watch it, the more I'm a bit like, yeah,
I
but
don't know. I
that's
still
I
don't.
feel that
that's
falls
another
under like
conversation.
a different like set of things, like horror creatures or something. Mount Rushmore horror creatures. I
Yeah,
don't feel
okay.
that's a character as such.
That would just be Alien. I can't think of many other horror.
There must be
Well,
others.
Predator, but I don't think that's horror. Anyway,
Yeah,
I think Jigsaw has. Then again, Pennywise has longevity as well, but still, Jigsaw is very iconic. The music. I know we're not talking about music here, but the music for those films is incredible,
yeah,
and you will see that puppet on a bike at every Halloween party for the next 20, 30, 40 years. When
yeah,
when it was my daughter's like first or second Halloween, I said to my girlfriend, "We've got to do it." And we never did, but I said like she can ride a little balance bike. We just put white
Oh
makeup on.
yeah,
She
that'd
doesn't
be
know what
cool.
it is. I said, "Why don't we do it?" And just wheel her into a room, and everyone
Yeah,
shit
that'd be
themselves.
funny to be fair.
Never did it, but I would still love to do it one day. I just think it's one of those ones who will be around forever. People would be dressing up with
yeah,
it forever, and I
Yeah,
think they will for Pennywise. That's a shit argument, but I'm going with Jigsaw because I like those films slightly more than
yeah.
Pennywise, not Alien, but still.
And I completely agree with that. I also think in terms of horror movie villains, if you said to me who's the smartest horror movie villain, it is Jigsaw. Just the whole
Mm.
story in terms of the fact of that you've got this guy that is given a terminal diagnosis and he spends the remainder of his days essentially making people who don't value life and making their own mistakes realize. Now, you could argue that there are ways and ways of doing that, like a simple conversation with a coffee, a bacon sarnie,
Yeah,
just rather than, I don't know, trying to rip people's organs out. I get that. But Jigsaw's an interesting one in that every single person that he targets deserves it of a notion because they're never like clean, lovely people. There are people that have like fucked people over, that have been horrible to people, that have taken lives. In Terrifier, for example, like art literally just picks on anyone, and I mean anyone. And same with Ghostface. But there's a reason behind what Jigsaw's doing, which makes him really interesting. So I think that is a more interesting notion than what Pennywise does. So okay, I'm really happy. That's like three that I was really hoping to get on the list. So
it's actually a good
this is
point.
great.
He has a proper motive, whereas the Alien just kills whatever's in its sights.
Yeah,
Pennywise, I can't remember, but I know he
yeah.
goes after the kids, but I don't think he really has any particular reason for it. It's just they happen
No,
to be
and
susceptible to his mind games, whatever it would you want to call it.
in it that he's prying on the vulnerability
Run.
of the lost or the losers group essentially,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that's not really a motive. That's just still a
He's
very
just taking
dickhead
advantage
sort of-
rather than a motive.
Yeah, yeah.
Agreed. Okay, well, as anyone can see, every video listener can see anyway, video watcher, I should probably say, whatever. We've got Ghostface, or from the Scream movies, we've got Art the Clown from the Terrifier movies, and Jigsaw from the Saw movies. We now need to collectively somehow agree on the fourth spot. We might as well all just come to the table with what we've got in terms of like honorable mentions as well, and then we'll kind of narrow it down as much as we can. So obviously I've said Alien and Pennywise. I've also said Mike Myers. I have seen some of the Halloween movies. Bear with me. I know we're not going to go with this one. I just put Jack O'Connell from Sinners because he was just so,
okay.
just because he was so
Okay.
good. He's not going to win.
I
know
mean, we're
that.
not, but
Yeah.
but it's a nice honorable mention.
And he's also in another great movie called 28 Years Later, Stephen. You should watch it. I had the smile. I put Nicolas Cage from Longlegs.
Oh yes.
because
yeah.
If there's more films,
He has a good
Yeah.
look and he's great.
yeah, and his voice
I-
as well. Like,
I also. Oh, sorry, what, Jack? I would say that one
Go
that I had in sort of my mind was Ringu from The Ring. No, only one film, but like the girl with the hair that comes down.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really freaky. But then I'm like, in terms of, well, I would say that even though it's only one film, like I feel like everyone knows The Ring.
Yeah.
And the whole, you're going to die in 7 days. It was like a really iconic
I thought there's
moment
more than
in
one film.
horror. Well, no, I'd say that there was one good film, The Ring 2. I forget from my memory. It's a spoiler, it's a pile of shite. But the original Ring, which coincidentally is directed by the guy that did Pirates of the Caribbean, that blows my mind. He did The Ring and Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl in like 3 months apart. And I was like, did he like sit there and think, oh, I'm going to kickstart the Pirates franchise, which is going to become this multi-million-pound hit, and then direct this horror movie that just took the world by storm, even though it was a remake of a Japanese horror movie, which people said is even scarier than the actual Ring. So potentially, but I'm like sitting there thinking, I agree with what we were talking about earlier. If we've got Ghostface, do we go with like a Freddy, Jason, Michael? But then we also could say, do we put Pennywise in? Like, I have not a single idea about who this last pick should go to.
The thing with The Ring is that Scary Movie 3 just completely ruins that for me, because when she comes out of TV, and I know that there's a few people who listen to this podcast love it when I do it, is Cindy, the TV's leaking. I fucking love that.
That's not my floor.
I've also put, and this is one for more for you, Steve, and I think you'd like this one, The Nun from the Conjuring movies.
Yeah.
Again,
Well, if you're going to say The Nun, then I'd say Annabelle.
Annabelle as well.
But, you've got about Annabelle, don't you?
That's a good one, Andy.
It's because Annabelle is one of my top ones.
Yeah,
I used to always think that like Valak, who is the name of the nun in the Nun and Conjuring movies, was scarier than Annabelle. But having recently watched all of them back to back, I changed my mind because now when I look at the Nun, also when I look at the Nun, I just think that's Marilyn Manson in real bad sort of makeup. I did think of it briefly when it came out, but I thought, like, particularly in The Conjuring 2, the Nun is absolutely terrifying. But there is something about Annabelle that really got under my skin recently. So if I was going to lean towards one, and I also think because Annabelle just doesn't really do anything, but it's just that whole, like, if you came home late at night and you just see, I mean, actually, funny enough, I mean,
oh god, he's not going to get his doll out, is he?
Oh my god, you actually got an Annabelle doll. Fuck that.
I have Annabelle.
He sleeps next to it, man.
Yeah. So funny story. If Chloe's like staying around mine and sleeps in my room, I will then I might be gaming, and then just before I go to bed, I'll then turn it that way, just so then in the morning when she wakes up and she goes, "Your Annabelle doll moved." I went, "Did it? Oh, I never done anything." I can't lie, so she sees it straight away. And then when I can't remember who I told, and they like told me, obviously that's really horrible, Stephen, but I think it's really funny.
What you should do,
but like, look at that.
What you should do is put it outside your bedroom door. So as she goes to leave, she sees it on the floor, like, what the fuck?
Get some crayons as well.
Right on the walls.
I'm coming for you.
But it is absolutely like just creepy as hell.
I like that suggestion, Andy. I do like Annabelle.
Yeah, Annabelle's a strong shout.
It's one I forgot about, actually. And I would actually put that.
I just had another good one for the creature one. Jaws. There you go. That's 2 on the list for the creatures.
That's a good segue, Andy. That reminded me we have some audio listener suggestions while we consider what ours is.
They better not have said Jaws.
So, technically, it is a horror movie villain. Just not very scary.
I put the message out on Discord for people to send in their favourite horror villains. Bigsy wrote in Art the Clown.
Yeah.
Pennywise. The Leprechaun, which I don't know what that's from.
Leprechaun.
Ghostface. Jigsaw. So he'll be happy that 3 of his picks are in.
What was the one before that? Sorry, Welchy?
Ghostface.
Pennywise.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And then honourable mention for Bruce the Shark.
Bruce the Shark from Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo. I read that and literally pissed myself laughing.
I didn't know what it was from. But when you said shark, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And questions.
So the Leprechaun is a movie character. Sorry, Andy, go on.
I was just quoting Finding Nemo. You're fine. So
the Leprechaun, it's Warwick Davis from 1992, and centres on a malevolent and murderous leprechaun who resorts to enemies necessary to protect and reclaim his gold. I've never seen that, but I've looked at some of the pictures and I'm like, really, Big C?
You must have liked it when it was little.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's hard.
That's not making it, I'll tell you now.
well, none of us have watched it, so that can't make our
Yeah.
list.
No.
I'll just say from what Stephen, I don't think you said yours yet, actually.
Thing is, I'm really struggling because I've got so many that I could list like 30, and I still don't know which one I'd pick because it's kind of like the best of the rest, which I don't have a preference.
I don't think it has to be like.
Mm,
I don't think this is the best of the rest. Obviously, you're gonna have 30. I think we can definitely narrow that down to the best of that.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I think I can clearly say from what me and Andy have said so far, I think the best suggestions are Pennywise and Annabelle.
yeah. Which is I'd be
And
absolutely
Mike
happy. I mean,
Myers,
you've
sorry,
got
and Mike Myers.
you got Leatherface for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You know, Hellraiser, Chucky, which is
Chucky.
the
Ooh,
Just the way
granddaddy
it looks, yeah.
of
But then
dolls.
if we're choosing adult, it's
I think it's
Annabelle
Annabelle,
for
yeah.
me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would lean more towards Annabelle because I find Chucky more funny than actually
Yeah,
scary,
a
more
I
than
do now,
anything.
yeah.
bit
I
over
haven't
the
watched it
top,
properly,
a
so
bit silly almost, yeah.
Yeah. Um, it's
it's
just
weird because I
so
actually like in terms of cosplay, I saw so many Chuckies over the weekend at MCM, but I don't recall seeing any Annabelles. So like Chucky's definitely the go-to in terms of like dressing up in
yeah,
that.
It's probably a better
yeah.
outfit. I think I genuinely think people are probably so scared of Annabelle they don't want a fucking chance.
Yeah, I think they actually might be just because of like the true stories behind it
Only
and stuff.
only an idiot would have like an Annabelle in their bedroom that they'd look at every single
The
day. You know,
problem with some movies, like Paranormal Activity, is you don't know what they
Yeah,
look like, so you can't pick that film
yeah.
or that villain.
Apart from
yeah,
the
yeah.
ghost dimension, which made the fateful error of actually showing us
Yeah.
the activity and thinking that that was going to work, it didn't. I mean, also with the Chucky cosplay, because you could got the bride of Chucky, so couples could dress up as like Mr. and Mrs. Chucky, which is really cool. I mean, also another one that I had in my mind, Reagan from The Exorcist, in terms of
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about Carrie as
again,
well?
Carrie, yeah, that shot of when she's got all of the blood draped over her. There's a lot.
Yeah.
There is a lot, but I'm just thinking in terms of like all of these horror characters are great, but for me, for a Mount Rushmore, they've got to have a specific characteristic or their movie like longevity. Like with Jigsaw, he's iconic. He's part of one of the biggest horror movie franchises of all time in Saw. Has transformed pop culture. Like those are the kind of people that I think should be on the Mount Rushmore, which I think we've got
I think our
so
three
far
do
with the
so
three
far,
that we've
yeah.
chosen. If we pick someone like, I don't know, Leatherface, yes, but has not had the same effect to that point. Is what I'm trying to get at.
I think in terms of the choices that we already made and who's remaining, then for it to be different to the three choices, I would be leaning more towards Annabelle.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like if we choose Leatherface or Michael Myers, like Michael Myers is high on my list, I wrote him down. I feel like because we've got Ghostface on there, then yeah, go more towards.
We don't have to do the whole one of
I know,
each.
but I feel like it's easier to make that choice to say Annabelle with Michael Myers because we've already got Ghostface there. Whereas it's a lot harder to then make that choice if we don't do that sort of thing.
Yeah. I would be inclined to go more towards Annabelle. Also, the Conjuring universe is one of the highest grossing horror movie franchises of recent sort of last 20 years. And the impact that the Conjuring has sort of had in terms of pushing supernatural horror right up to the mainstream. The Conjuring was a massive part of that. I mean, the first Conjuring, I think, cost like 20 million. It took like quadruple that in its first weekend. Like it was insanely like popular, and even now, like Last Rites is still in the cinema now. It's wild, and has gone down really well in terms of how much money that it's made.
What about the boogeyman from Sinister? He's not making him out Rushmore, I know, but he's a good character.
He's scary.
I like Bagul. Bagul's
I've only seen the first film though, so
number two. Yeah, I mean,
it's true. I've not seen number two.
The only good thing about what number two has is some of the videos are a little bit more like gruesome than the first, but the actual general story isn't great. Also the Grabber from the Black Phone, but again we've only had two movies.
Well, she hates the first film. That's not getting in as the fourth choice.
No, but it's an honorable mention.
I would be inclined to agree with you, especially because I think I'm going to enjoy the second films too. But yeah, I know as a choice between all three of us, it's not getting in.
I think it sounds like we're moving towards Annabelle here.
I would be happy with that choice.
I'd be happy. I think it's a great suggestion. I think Pennywise, again, two clowns. Do want to do that? And I know we've kind of moved away from Alien. What was the other one we said that was? Oh, Mike Myers. Again, iconic. Same as
Yeah,
the guy from Friday the 13th, Jason.
Yeah,
I feel
Jason.
like the music with Michael Myers as well. That's got a
Yeah,
very specific tone when he's like chasing people and stuff. And
Yeah.
he's literally. I saw a video on TikTok recently, and it's like the Michael Myers test, and it's like a shop, and they get their employees to like run away from Michael Myers, and they've got to try and quickly unlock the door and get inside
funny
and
you
lock
say
it
that.
before they get him. And
I
it's quality.
saw someone
Watching
obviously
that.
do another version of that. They was in a hotel, and they're running
Oh,
down
okay.
the hallway, and
The
they have to
hallway.
press the elevator
Yeah.
and hope the elevator comes in time.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah,
then none
yeah.
of them fucking
It's,
made it.
but it
And
just always
it,
has that music in the background. That just
Yeah.
makes it so much more
and
terrifying.
when I was at the Tuddish Oktoberfest with a friend, which is like a horror, sort of lots of different horror mazes, and one of the mazes where we were queuing up literally had the Halloween theme playing in the background, and I literally
Yeah.
said to myself, like, this is just so fitting. Like this music just screams Halloween. So
Yeah.
like, yeah, I would get that. I think my only, if say Ghostface hadn't existed, so to speak, I think Michael Myers goes in like straight away.
Yeah.
But I just think that Michael Myers is the iconic horror movie character of like the 80s, and I think Ghostface is the horror movie slasher villain for sort of the 90s and the 2000s, really. I don't think there's much in it between both of them, but I just think Ghostface has a sort of an edge. And for me, growing up, Ghostface was and is still my favourite horror movie villain. Now sharing that title with Art.
Are we going to settle on Annabelle?
I'm happy to put Annabelle in. The more I think about it, the more I
I'm
actually quite
happy
like
with
that
that
idea.
choice.
Okay.
It's scary as fuck.
I think it's a good one because we've got arguably
It's a good range there.
three
Yeah.
or four of the obviously the Terrifier ones are getting better as they go, but the other three for sure are some of the most successful horror movies or franchises. I know Annabelle's
And
part of a bigger franchise.
we've also kind of got different ranges of horror. So we've got the slasher horror movies, Terrifier, which is just everything basically, minus it has got a bit of supernatural stuff to it. Jigsaw, which is all about the torture porn craze, and then you've got Annabelle, that was part of the supernatural horror craze. So I think we've got a nice range, covering all sub genres of horror, which I think is good.
Yeah. It'll be funny because after that horror list we done last time, I just know if we Googled a Mount Rushmore, it's going to be like the oldest horror villains ever on their list.
Yeah.
Like
Do you know-
cheapest creatures.
The one that I think would probably make, and it would be another honorable mention, is probably Norman Bates from Psycho, because he was one of the first ever horror movie villains. You know, that shot where he walks in or with the knife and with wearing his mother's clothes, and then that shower sequence. That piece of music is just as iconic as Halloween. So that would be high up there. But I know that both of you've not seen it, and
No,
like
but
the
I
horror
have been
movie villains.
I've been watching Ed Gein, and you would fucking love Ed Gein, Stephen. You got to watch it.
Oh, well, funny you say that. Tomorrow when I go to see Chloe, we will be starting Monsters the Egg
Okay.
So I've had to wait for her to watch it with me. So I'm very excited because the more I read about it, the more I'm like, oh, here we go. This is a bit of me.
Yeah. Cool. Well, there you have it. We have our Mount Rushmore of horror movie villains. We have got Ghostface. We have Art the Clown, Jigsaw, and Annabelle. I'm pretty happy with that list. I'm surprised. We've kind of just
Yeah.
agreed. It was nice and
No
civil.
like massive arguments in that one.
No.
I feel like people listening will be happy with that choice as well. There's not too much they can argue with in terms of
No, I think we've made good
who they would put in.
good
Yeah.
choices and good reasons for picking them. There'll be people that wish we would have picked Pennywise or
Oh yeah, there's always going to be slight changes.
Mike
but
Myers, but I think people
they would be hating the whole list as a whole. Yeah.
Cool. Well, there we go. That is going to be the end. We've done this one in record time as well, which is great. Before we go, Andy, where can people follow you?
You can find me over on Twitch at Andy_Y_07. Also over on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, either AB Collectibles or AB Collectibles 24. Thank you very much.
And Stephen, where can people follow you?
Yeah, just on my TikTok at DJ Blackpuss and on my YouTube channel of the same name as well. My most recent Allies and Arsenal is up for everyone to go and watch if you like. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for listening to the Late Night Movie Podcast. We really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like, or a rating. Tell a friend about us, as I'm really fucking this up. Give us a follow and tell a friend about us, as word of mouth goes a really long way. You can follow us on all social medias with the handle at The Late Night Pods. And be sure to join our Discord community using the link in the podcast description. Next week, we have something. Well, on Friday, we're going to be talking about the scariest movies ever made. And then on the movie side, we are reviewing Turner and Hooch on
Yeah, I thought it was the
the
two.
A to Z movie review episode. So look forward to that. Until then, I have been your host, Welchy, and my guests have been Andy.
Yeah, thank you as always, guys. It's been a less debateful episode from us today. So yeah, hope you enjoyed.
And Stephen.
Yeah, that was a real resounding success. I can't believe that we all agreed. Andy, I'm so pleased. The horror knowledge tonight was on point. Keep it
Didn't
up.
upset you, did it?
No, it didn't.
Thank you all for listening, and we will see you next week.